I want to talk about the state of the industry. Let's start on the medicinal side. How big is the market in the United States for medicinal use of cannabis products? How
Yeah,
big is the industry? How many people involved?
Sure. So the medicinal market in the U.S. is very large. 40 states currently have some form of medical marijuana available for their citizens. So millions and millions of Americans are utilizing medical grade cannabis every single day as part of their part of their regime. We see it across all of the states that we operate in, and we are primarily a medical marijuana company. We do operate in some states that have both programs, both medical and recreational. But in our home state of Florida, for example, where we have almost 1 million patients that are registered in the medical marijuana use registry and in the program here in the state of Florida. And so it's a large part of people's lives. We see everything from folks who are utilizing cannabis as an alternative therapy to support them in their cancer, chemotherapy journey, Parkinson's, spasticity diseases across the spectrum. And the ages range, right? Everyone from, of course, children and pediatric cases all the way up to end of life, and assisting folks in that transition who want to be lucid and be able to connect with their loved ones while transitioning. And so really, again, the use cases are varied and are plenty, although one of the things that really is holding the medical side of the industry back is just the lack of real research that's available here in the United States. So as you know, medical marijuana is currently scheduled as a Schedule 1 substance. And so that prevents research from our university structure here in the United States and really puts us at a disadvantage as we're looking to unlock really the future potential of this plant in a very medical and scientific way for folks to be able to utilize, and for physicians, candidly, to feel more comfortable really getting behind these therapies. And so that's one of the things that we're really advocating for, again, is just the simple rescheduling from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3, because I think we can all agree that medical marijuana should not be in the same category as heroin, and certainly should not be scheduled above fentanyl, which it is currently.
So you'd like a federal law that reclassifies cannabis, right? What are the barriers to that? President Trump seems to be pretty supportive rhetorically. What are the barriers to a passage
and
of a
so
federal law?
so it's very interesting, and we are, I would say, a case study in sort of the politics of the deep state, if you will. On one hand, right, we have a very, very popular, as you mentioned, subject matter, and really, I mean, when you poll rescheduling and when you poll medical marijuana, it polls way over 80% across the board. In some cases, actually in the 90s, which is incredible. Like I don't think you can get dogs and puppies to poll that high among Americans these days. And so it is uniformly a popular issue. When you get into the mechanics, though, of what it takes to actually move the needle, there was a start to the reclassification a couple of years ago, and the FDA has to do a study where they basically compare the medical benefits of the substance to every other substance in the other categories that you're attempting to move it to. And so there was a 225-page research paper that came out that actually said, yes, there are absolute medical benefits here, and the risk of harm is outweighed by the risk of by the benefit, essentially. And in fact, in this study, it was interesting. They actually compared medical marijuana to alcohol as well. And of course, as we would all nod along, it is significantly safer, according to those researchers, than alcohol. And so then the next step is that it goes from HHS to the DOJ and the DEA. And unfortunately, that is where we have hit the roadblock. And so, I would say Biden's DEA and the deep state there has done everything possible to bog this thing down. There's been accusations of actually collusion with prohibitionist group. It was in front of, so it goes through a rulemaking process. It was in front of an ALJ who admonished the DEA and basically said that until you all get your act together, this is going back to the DOJ. And so that is where we sit currently. I agree with you. President Trump has been an advocate and a supporter. I think that his take on medical marijuana specifically has changed over the years, as has most Americans, right? He has, I think, personal relationships of folks who utilize medical marijuana to their benefit, and sees the fact that Americans want research. They want safe, tested product to be able to have that alternative, and for adults to be able to use medical marijuana in the privacy of their own home. In fact, as you mentioned, he campaigned on it. He actually, in certain states, ran ads, saying that he was a supporter. And so, I think right now, what we need to have happen is for President Trump, which I believe he will, to make good on that promise to the American people, and to move it forward, because it can all happen within the executive branch. This is an executive action that is needed in rulemaking to take it from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3.
We see, as you said, public opinion polls, when it's been on the ballot, it's done generally pretty well with voters. So what are the countervailing pressures? You mentioned the lack of necessary research, but what are the other countervailing pressures? For instance, are parents concerned that if medical marijuana is more widely available, then kids would be able to get access to it illicitly? Is that what's countervailing on the politicians?
I think that really what we have here is, and there's been, like I said, I think that over the years, there's been a great deal more, understanding, and the fact that, the sky has not fallen when these medical programs have been passed and implemented in, like I said, 40 of our states. But I think that, right, there is always, and certainly among the DEA, and listen, you're talking to someone my father was a sheriff's officer for 25 years, and my mother was actually an assistant principal of an elementary school. So I come from a long list of public servants, and in the DEA, right, we have law enforcement officers who have been trained their entire lives, right, to be anti-substance. And I think that what we're up against is a lot of inertia. We're up against a lot of, well, this is the way that it's always been, so why change it, right? And I think that more than anything, I really don't believe that this is an American people issue. I think that this is a bureaucratic kind of political issue at this point.